Hello everyone, I'm Arunima from Knit and Knotter, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make these Tunisian Mask Mates or ear savers. These are this is a quick Tunisian pattern. It is very simple to make, and there are a lot of people, medical professionals and the like, who are taking care of coronavirus patients, and even otherwise there are these people have to wear their masks for prolonged durations, and that can make their ears sore. So these ear savers can be used to protect their ears. They can wear this with their mask, and the elastic, this goes at the back and the elastic goes on these buttons, and so the mask does not have to rest on their ears. So this is a quick and easy Tunisian pattern, and you can see that it can be made with multiple colors. I've used variegated yarn, I've used solid colors, I've tried a combination of different rows with different colors. Just there are a lot of options that you can make these with, and they just, while they're functional, they also, well, at least for me, they brighten up my day. So making them in different colors really makes me happy. So that's pretty much it about what these are. I am going to now show you what you need to make these. There's a very small number of things that you need. You need your hook, a Tunisian crochet hook. You need a scale or a measuring tape. You need a tapestry needle. You need scissors, and you need 2 buttons. So I recommend using buttons larger than 3/4 of an inch, just because they will hold better. So these are 2 buttons that I had that are in my stash. I don't have a lot of buttons, so I'm going to use these for my video. But if you look at these buttons here, there's just about, they're about a 1/2 inch, and they're not the best, but that is all I had in my stash. So they will work, but there's a chance that the elastic could come off and they might not hold too well. But these buttons will do really well. So if you are going to make these, I strongly recommend using bigger buttons. But if you don't have big buttons, then I think these will work. So let's get started. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to just make the these mask mates in a solid color, but you could use whatever colors you want. So to begin, I'm going to start working with a 22 chain. I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook for this. Normally I crochet with a larger hook with this yarn, but I just wanted these to be dense and stiff, so that's why I'm using this hook. But if your mask mates curl a lot, then you can use a larger hook. So if you see mine, they curl just a little bit, but when I wear them, they work out just fine. So I have not used a different stitch or a larger hook. And one more thing to remember is that I recommend using cotton yarn for this. You could use acrylic too, but cotton just works best. And this is easy to wash, and it could be disinfected too. So going back to the project here, leave a long tail because this can be used to sew in a button, and start with a chain 22. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 21, 22, and make your foundation row stitches in the back loops. Well, you could make it in any place, but I like to make them in the back loops. And I have a separate video tutorial for making this foundation row if you are unaware of how to do it and what the options are. You're welcome to check it out. So this is the end of the forward pass of row 1. This will be the foundation row. So you don't really need a Tunisian crochet hook to make this. If you have a regular crochet hook which is not ergonomic, which doesn't have something here, just it's a flat straight line, then you can make it using a regular hook also. You just need to be able to fit in all these 22 stitches at once on the hook. And as I said earlier, this can be made in a variety of colors. So I have one here which I made with alternating the forward and a reverse pass in different colors. So my forward pass was a different color and reverse pass a different color. So you can do all of that, and this would be the place to start. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and make this in one solid color. So this is my reverse pass. And I'm going to make this using Tunisian simple stitches. You could use any stitch for this, but it's I find a simple stitch worked really well for this. And if you want to know how to make the Tunisian simple stitch, then I have another video for that. Again, I'm going to go ahead and link that in the description below, so you can check that out. But here is the foundation row. And now I'm going to make a row of Tunisian simple stitches. So I'm just going to go on and make Tunisian simple stitches across all the way till the end. And this is the end of the first row. I'm going to make the reverse pass. So we made the foundation row. This is row 1. This is the end of row 1, and we just made a row of Tunisian simple stitches. I'm going to make one more row of Tunisian simple stitches. Making the reverse pass now. That's the end of row 2, and this is how it's looking. I like to measure my anything I make, any project I make, after making about 2 rows. So at this point, I recommend you you look at how wide this is. So mine is a little over 5 inches, about 5.5 inches, and I'm okay with that. And the width, the length is about an inch, and that's how much I plan to make it. So at this point, if you are measuring this, you can figure out if yours is too wide or too long. And to increase or decrease the width, you can start with a different number of chains. So you can start with more chains or less chains depending on how long you want it, and based on your gauge. So gauge is not important here. It will just depend on how you're working your project and what your gauge is, and you can just adjust based on that. And if you wanted this wider or narrower, you could just add rows or make lesser rows depending on what you want. So it's very easy to modify this based on your crochet style. I'm going to now make this make the last row for this, because this is the size that I wanted. And I tried this at least 4 or 5 times to come to the right number of stitches that I wanted. So don't be disheartened if you don't get it right the first time. And this is so quick to make that you can make it. I think I take about 10 minutes to make one. So here is the last row. So for the last row, I'm going to bind off, and I'm going to do a Tunisian simple stitch, bind off with slip stitches. And you need very little yarn to make this, just a few yards. It's a great stash busting project, and you can just mix up colors. You can use all your scraps for this, and it would be great to donate to healthcare workers who are who have issues with their ears getting sore because of the masks. And that's it. That completes the body of this mask mate. I'm going to cut the yarn and fasten off, and at this point I will weave in one end. So I'm going to take my needle to weave in this end. This one's done. I'm going to cut this tail, and I'm going to use this other one to sew those buttons in. So I'm going to sew one button here, to take this all the way to the center. So if you see this part over here, this reverse pass chain, this right here seems to be really strong, and that's where I'm going to sew my button. So here I'm going to start here, take one button, and I'm using this yarn to sew in these buttons, but if the holes in your buttons are smaller, you can use regular thread or embroidery floss. Just make sure that you attach them really tightly, because this is where the elastic from the masks will stay. So I'm going to do this twice. So there are 4 holes in my button, so I'm going twice in each. And that's it. That's nice and tight, and I'm just going to weave in this end. So that's it. I'm going to cut this yarn, and for the other button there is no loose end over here, so I'm going to take a little bit of yarn extra here. I have this yarn that I threaded, and I'm going to start with how I normally weave in an end. That is so I don't have to weave in this one side later. So just start with that. That's how I do it. And go in the opposite direction. That secures it. And then I'm going to take this button and attach it over here. So I found this here. I found this stitch which is fairly sturdy, so that's around which that I'm going to sew this button. So here, I'm going crisscross it's done, and I'm just going to go ahead and weave in this end. And cut this, and this is how it is. Again, I could block this and this will sit straight, but I don't feel the need to, because this will sit straight at the back of anyone's head and it will straighten out by itself. And this is pretty much it. That's all you need to know to make these. I made them in a bunch of colors, and I used smaller buttons too. I'm hoping they will hold. I'm going to try them on a mask. And I will have a written pattern for this that you can grab a PDF of from Ravelry for free, and the free pattern will also be on my blog, so you are welcome to check it out. I will add a link to it in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.